Now I'm throwing ideas out there, bouncing ideas around about something that could be locally produced that either is around or isn't around. It could be old or modern, that could be used as local fire support, you know. So whether that's grenades, grenade launchers, rockets, an anti-bunker, anti-light armored vehicle, anti-helicopter, and just some high explosive field support. Something that's light, something that's small, something to keep in line with the concept of behind every blade of grass. More importantly than a gun, you have a marksman, someone who knows how to use his firearm. That is dangerous, and that makes people think twice. And then also to complement that, he has a fully equipped anti-armor capability and room and defensive capability, so hand grenades and that to go along with it. That makes an average militiaman very intimidating to come against. You know, that means if someone was going to invade this place, not that they're going to, but that's not the point. The point is making us so we're strategically intimidating and no one would want to even dare, because there's a trained marksman behind every blade of grass, and he's a marksman with his rifle, with a bunch of other firearms as well that he's familiar with, as well as anti-armor weapons, knows how to create an ambush, knows how to communicate with others in the field, and knows how to mobilize himself. That is how a militia force becomes an active role in defense, intimidating and dangerous. So, okay. So, I think that I don't see why you couldn't have a small rocket launcher at your personal house. Of course, not have explosives, not have high explosive projectiles, but have a range that you can use it. And the reason why I'm coming up with this is to produce something in this country that's not around yet. Make an ideal light armor weapon that's basically small, very light. You want to be able to be trained with it, be proficient and accurate with it, so your shots count. But if it's small and lightweight, there's more of a chance that you're going to have it on you when you need it, rather than have something, be proficient with it, but it's a little bit awkward, a little bit cumbersome, so you're not going to carry it on you except when you go certain places. Well, the chances are, you know, you're probably going to need it when you're not expecting it. Okay, so to already have something established, already have something that's in the population, that the population can train with. It's cheap to produce, cheap to train with. Make it reloadable, like a shooter reloads his ammunition. Repack the rockets, you know, the rocket motor, the fins, you know, make them out of very cheap, like putting an arrow together for someone who's got a bow and arrow. Very easy. You put the feathers together, you can buy the little kits. Whether you buy the propellant, like you do gunpowder in a bottle from a gun shop or something like that. Obviously, the people who... This, again, self-funded. So the people who want to spend money on their stuff, they're going to shoot more. They're going to be better with it. Have a basic design on the launcher, and then the people who want to spend extra money on it and have pride in their stuff, they can go the extra mile. Have the Picatinny rails on it and put red dots and, you know, magnified scopes and different sighting systems on there, you know. So I'll put a couple of photos in. These are just ideas, just to get ideas flowing around people's heads. So I think that the standard that everybody knows is the 66 or the Law M72 light anti-armor weapon. I think that's the benchmark of performance that you want to be looking at, something around that weight or smaller, and something with similar performance. And if enough of them were around, well, you know, aftermarket could put research and development into them and make them highly accurate, with different shaped warheads so they fly better, more accurate, etc., etc. Better quality components or cheap components, you know, just. And we've got to get this. The media has smashed everybody with being paranoid about everyone who owns a gun's a right-wing extremist and they want to mass murder everybody. That's hogwash. That's propaganda. A lot of people would love, gun owners and that, would love to be proficient in what they do, be competitive with their mates who also are into the same hobby, and go and compete with people. How much of a blast would it be, literally, to go shoot rockets? You know, maybe a couple of times a year you go away and you get to fire some proper ones that go bang. You know, maybe if you've done a certain amount of training that year, you've gone to the range and you've done 12 shoots, 1 shoot a month or whatever. Yep, you're allowed to go off to a military range and shoot some high explosive or something. I think that'd be great. Some people would think it's extreme. I don't. I just think, like, nothing. I'm into freedom. So whether you take drugs, whether you like to drink alcohol, you want to race motorbikes or cars or whatever, if you want to shoot guns, you should be able to shoot guns. If you want to be a volunteer Minuteman, militiaman, you should be able to. It's not hurting anyone. So, the last photo that I'll put up is some things that could be used that are relatively cheap. I've seen a revolver, sort of a shotgunny sort of thing, that shoots 20mm cannon projectiles, and it's a revolver. That one's made to shoot. That's an expensive option, and it's really not very intimidating as an anti-armor weapon. So, you know, what's it going to do to a helicopter? I don't know, not much probably, but we would rather, I think anyway, my own personal opinion you'd want to be intimidating to any truck, any light armored fighting vehicle, any helicopter pilot, anyone driving a landing craft or a boat, you know. So, you know, this is how you can make post-traumatic stress work against the enemy. Just no matter where they go, they can't rest. If your intentions is to occupy and invade this place, we are going to hunt you down, and we're going to hunt you like a fox that's taken someone's chicken, you know. We're going to hunt you down and we're going to get you. So, yeah. A light support weapon, light anti-armor. Maybe different warheads. High explosive thermobaric hash. High explosive anti-tank. Smoke, you know. Flares. There is a lot of uses for them. Further than you can throw a hand grenade, more, you know, some of them could have kinetic properties. If you have really good propellants, like in the CRV-7 Canadian unguided aerial rockets, they're extremely fast. So a small charge of that, small, very fast burning propellant in, say, a small little tube, maybe 900mm, 1 meter long, the rocket should be consumed within that barrel. So when it comes out, if the rocket motor is burning after it comes out of the barrel, like an RPG or something similar, the rocket will tend to turn into the wind if there's any wind. If the rocket motor goes out before it leaves the muzzle, all it's doing is pretty much dropping, and it's only got momentum pushing it. But if it's pushing it fast enough, it'll actually have enough kinetic energy to be an anti-personnel projectile. It'll smash a vehicle. You know, it'll probably punch a hole through a brick wall, even without any explosives or, you know, chemical warhead on it. So, you know, these are some of the things that can be done. You know, and again, if there's enough of them and it's mass produced and enough of them are being fired, you can bring the cost of components down. Now we could start to potentially look at, you know, guidance systems. People with more money, like the guy who can afford a Weatherby and the top of the range, you know, Schmidt and Bender scope. I can't afford that sort of a firearm, but there are people who can. They're the ones who might be able to afford to have guided ammunition, you know. And if they buy enough of them, then the guided stuff gets cheaper. And if there's more manufacturers making it, it gets competitive and it brings the prices down. So, just food for thought, guys. Localized support weapons.